Hey y'all, I'm going to be talking to you guys about argumentation theory today, or the process in which all arguments are founded and how we use logical reasoning in order to come up with claims that are sound in evidence. First, we need to talk about Stephen Tolman. He's essentially the founder and the creator of argumentation theory. And he first developed it in 1958 when he wrote his book, The Use of an Argument. He was a professor and educator at Cambridge in London, England, and he used his theory to validate conclusions and assumptions through logical reasoning, making sure that every argument had a rational thought behind it and that arguments weren't based out of no evidence. The argumentation model is used to evaluate the assumption through six parts, and that's known as the Tolman model of argumentation. The goal of the theory was to create strong arguments with valid ideas, to found those arguments in evidence and solid data, and to support communication through proper reasoning and logic, making sure that the connections between people and through differences, understanding what made an argument succinct. The Tolman model is pretty simple to understand when you really break it down. There is the claim, the ground, the warrant, the backing, the qualifier, and the rebuttal. As you can see on the screen, this is kind of a good use of the Tolman model. The claim is that there are dogs nearby. The grounds for it would be that you hear barking and howling in the distance. The warrant are that dogs are animals that bark and howl. The backing is that you know that your neighbor Tom has two large German shepherds. And the qualifier is kind of the mediator between it. So chances are that there are dogs nearby. And the rebuttal is something to counter against the argument of the claim, which is unless wolves or coyotes are nearby in this case. And the assumptions of argumentation are exactly what I just explained. The claim is the backbone of the argument. It is solely what makes an argument an argument. The ground is the background to support the claim, making sure that the claim itself isn't based in solely speculation. The warrant is the link between the grounds and the claim. Usually, that would be something like was previously described in the last slide. The backing is additional support to the warrant, making sure that the warrant itself is somewhat founded in logical reasoning. The qualifier is a word leading to the confirmation of the claim. That would be sometimes, usually, probably. It's essentially making sure that the claim is somewhat justified. And the rebuttal is the counter to the claim. Now, this is used to debunk or essentially making sure that the claim is unjustified in its nature. Usually, this is linked with something like unless or otherwise. Why is this model important? And the reason why it's important is because it allows for proper and manageable conversation through differing perspectives. A lot of the times, without Tolman's model of argumentation, the communication field wouldn't be able to found arguments clearly and use persuasion to captivate an audience. Usually, when you find this, you find politicians and marketers and personalities that are online using these tools to kind of benefit their platform and making sure that they will be able to voice their beliefs in a concise way. The whole thing about the argumentation model is that it clears up assumptions through logical reasoning. It makes sure that arguments are sound and that they have backing so that they don't fall through. It establishes arguments with factual evidence, making sure that words themselves are paired with evidence and raw data that are collected from scientific studies, peer-reviewed journals, and everything in between. And it allows for arguments to be evaluated critically and to explore new ways of discourse. It makes sure that arguments are fresh and that they have room to improve as time goes on. The major con in this model is questions themselves. Tolman's model didn't account for questions arising in arguments, and questions are the things that disprove a claim outright. And most of the time, questions are used periodically throughout any sort of experiment, making sure that grounds for arguments are justified and that they aren't posed in fallacy. And essentially, that's argumentation theory. I hope you guys had an interesting time listening to me ramble for about 6 minutes, and I hope you guys enjoy your day.